When I was in college, I was part of the Black Student Union. And what we would do every year is we would put on a show every year. It was a big showcase where we would have singers and dancers and poetry readings, a fashion show. It was catered, like it was a huge event that everybody looked forward to every year. And we would sell tickets. It was like $20 a ticket. It was really expensive for college. And I was on the committee to put on the annual show. And we had to get people to be in the show, students to be, to showcase their talent in the show, and students had to audition. And so we had a young lady audition. I went to Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois. Go Redbirds. And we had a young lady audition who is now famous. Well, she was more famous in the 2000s than she is now, but she was very, very, very famous in the 2000s. And she auditioned and she did not get in the show because she was not a good singer. And that person who didn't make a college show, who became a really famous singer, is, drumroll, Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. Hello, my name is Dawn. I'm a teen librarian in a public library in Illinois, and I got the pleasure of getting Babel by R.F. Kuang. It does not come out until, here we go. Dawn has come prepared for the vlog, for the book review. Oh shit, my computer's, wait a minute, I can't. I always come prepared for anything that I do on video. So August 23rd. And the whole title is Babel, or the Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translator Revolution. I got this book. I don't have the actual book. I received the e-arc from Edelweiss. If you do not know what Edelweiss is, it is comparable to NetGalley. I am not sure if vloggers and bloggers can do it. I don't know if it's only for book professionals. I'm not sure, but you can check and see. It's called Above the Tree Line, Edelweiss. And like I said, it's comparable to NetGalley. I have not read The Poppy War or anything else. I think The Poppy War was probably her debut. I have not read that, but I heard great things and it is on my list. But I was like, hey, she's got a new series coming out. Instead of going backwards and try to read Poppy War, let me get on top of things and read her new stuff. I know she's a fantasy writer. I know she does put a lot of historical fiction in her stuff. So I was like, I love fantasy. I don't like historical fiction, but I love fantasy. So let's give it a go. First of all, let me tell you what Babel is about before I get into my review. Overview. Babel takes place in the 1830s in England. It is about our main character, Robin, who was taken from China to study languages at Oxford when he was a little boy. England at this time has a leg up on everyone because the whole world uses silver as magic, as kind of a way to advance technology or anything else really, but they mostly use it to advance technology, and all countries have it, but England has a stronghold on it, and they use it to their advantage to make England a little bit more advanced than the rest of the world. And the students who are in the language department, such as Robin, they learn how to use silver and how to manipulate it to sell it to wealthy people and other people, so that England can maintain their stronghold over the world as far as advancements. However, as the way it goes, things happen. The world happens. And the whole glittering Oxford is not what it seems to be for Robin, and he learns the truth about his guardian and England and everything else. Okay, so let's get to the review. I usually start with my likes. No, I don't. I start with my dislikes. I start with my dislikes and then I go to likes because I want to end on a positive note. And let's start with my dislikes. Okay. Oh, I didn't even rate it. I gave it a 4. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I'm used to vlogging my daily vlog. which you can watch, by the way. I'm a librarian and I vlog from work, which I am at work. I'm on my break. And I vlog from work so you can kind of see what it's like to be a teen librarian. But you're not here for that. You're here for Babel. What I disliked about Babel is mostly my fault. So once again, I have not read the Poppy War, but I know it is fantasy, and I am a fantasy lover. I read mostly fantasy. What I did not realize was that it was also a lot of historical fiction. I thought it was a little bit of historical fiction, even though I probably should have realized pretty early on that it is not a little historical fiction, it is a lot of historical fiction. So if you are going into this book thinking, yes, a fantasy, it is going to be magic and silver, and they're going to be writing codes on silver and making things happen, no. This book, I would say, is 80% historical fiction, 20% fantasy. I thought it was the other way around. And what's even worse is I didn't even realize it was 80-20 until about 75% in the book. Because I'm reading it, and this is a honker. It is 560 pages. It is huge. It's a standalone. It is a huge ass book. And I'm like, okay, when are we going to get to the magic? When are they going to start writing words on the silver bars and like blowing shit up? Like, what? 75% in, and I'm like, excuse me, book, can you get to the magic, please? And it was like, Dawn, you dumbass. No, this is a historical fiction book. So know that. If you don't know anything else about this book, know that it is mostly historical fiction. If you do not like historical fiction, don't even bother. Don't read this book. You're going to be bored. I do not like historical fiction. And yes, I gave it a 4 because what it was trying to do, it did well. Did I necessarily enjoy it? No. But that's a me problem. It's not the book's problem. The book did what it was supposed to do. The book said what it was going to do. I cannot come in reading this book and be like, well, I thought that it was going to be a bunch of magic silver and it's not. No, the book never made promises of magic silver. It made promises of historical fiction. It's my fault for not realizing that. So I can't rate the book a low because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. But what it intended to do, it did well. So I gave it a 4. So that's my first dislike. My next dislike was, even though it is a standalone, it is really long. It is 560 pages. I have read some historical fiction. I've read, well, I was gonna say mostly, but well, no, I did read Devil in the White City. I skipped over the World's Fair part and only read the stuff about H.H. Holmes because I have a weird fascination of serial killers. So, but other than that, I have read my fair share of YA historical fiction, and they tend to be around 300-ish pages. This was 560, and I felt every page of that book too long. And a lot of it was a lot of repetition. And so it was a lot of them at school. So if you love school, books about school, then this is going to be all your jam. I don't hate books about school. It is kind of dark academia, not quite. But if you love dark academia and you hate that they don't show enough of the lessons being taught, then this is probably going to be a good fit for you because they do it a lot and it's a lot of repetition of it. It's like, hello, I got it the first time you explained I'm not a total dum-dum. And that bothered me. So it's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of them sitting and trying to figure out what to do next. And it's like, can we think faster? Can we think faster? That would help me a lot because I could get through this book faster. And a lot of sitting around thinking and like panicking and like thinking and like in their head a lot and repeating. Like there's one character and she is the white woman character. You know how white women are kind of, well, they're being described as complicit in a lot of what's going on in the world right now. I think she's representing that. And they just have to keep telling her, it's not fair because ABC. It's not fair because DEF. And she's just like, well, I don't understand. How come you just don't love it like I do? Oxford is awesome. And you guys are just like being an asshole because you're not taking advantage of it. And they're like, we get discriminated against. They don't want to eat next to us. We get treated like shit. But I don't think that you do. It's that. But, and it's great because you're kind of, if you are not a white woman, you don't know what's going on in their head. You don't know their logic. You don't understand why they keep rationalizing bad behavior. So when you're hearing it from her, you're like, oh, that's their rationale, even though it's being written by a Chinese woman. Not the point. That was really all of my dislikes. I didn't have too many. The book is not a bad book. It's a good book. It's just a little long, and it's a little long. If it was shorter, I probably would have liked it more. Probably not, seeing that I don't like historical fiction, but I would like to pretend that I did. Likes. I liked all of the characters. I liked Robin. He was our main character. He was taken from Canton, China when he was 10-ish. They were going through a plague, and he survived because his guardian took him out in time and then healed him with silver, essentially. And the rest of his family died. And took him to England, raised him to be a proper Englishman, and sent him to Oxford to be a part of the language department. And he has a lot of issues with that, which I thought was done really well. Because, you know, he's been kind of forced fed this, I saved you. Why aren't you grateful? If I had left you there, you would have died or starved or been a thief or a piece of shit on the street. But I took you back to England and I saved you and I fed you and I gave you an education. You owe me everything. And he's living with this guilt, and he can't get past this guilt. He keeps coming back to that. And it's killing him inside because he has to go back to China at one point, and he has to humble himself and interpret this horrible white man who is just being a total racist. And he's interpreting it to Chinese men in Canton, where he's from. And you can just see him dying inside, but he's stuck. He can't do anything. At least he feels that way. So you kind of see him start off with this guilt, and he loves Oxford because for the first time when he first got there, it's kind of like Hogwarts, when Harry has been living in this horrible situation and he gets to Hogwarts and he meets Ron, his best friend, and he meets Hermione, and he has friends and he has family and he doesn't want to leave. And that's kind of how Robin is. He's like, I've made friends for the first time. I feel like I have a family. I have a place. I'm smart. They need me. Like, they love me here. And he's conflicted because what they're doing in China is deplorable. So I really liked Robin and his conflictions. There was also his friend Rami. Rami was he's South Asian. I can't remember what city he was from. Anyway, so his friend Rami is South Asian, and Rami kind of has a little bit of he's in the same situation. He was taken from his homeland and he's brought to England to be a proper Englishman and taken to Oxford and study languages and everything. But yet he sees the world for what it is, and he's seen it quicker than Robin. Robin took a long time to get there. Rami, he got there a lot quicker. And so we see two ends. We see someone who's at the beginning of the journey and realizing that this is not okay, and we see someone who has figured it out and is like, I don't care about you and what you say. I don't like you, and I'm gonna tell you to your face. I don't care. Whereas Robin really humbles himself. And I already talked about the white girl. Her name was Letty. I liked her character a lot too. I just needed a little bit less of her. So I was an English major, and I got my master's degree in rec administration, and none of that has to do with history. So I barely know American history, let alone British history. So I learned a lot about the Opium Wars and the Industrial Revolution in England. She's using speculative fiction to teach ding-dongs like me who know nothing about world history, about world history. And I learned a lot that I did not know. Like, I knew there was an opium crisis. I did know that, but I didn't know that the English were like funneling it into China. And China was like, no, you are killing us and you need to stop. And England was like, but it's trade and people want free trade. That old bullshit. Like, I didn't know that. This book is diverse, as if you cannot tell already. Robin is East Asian, Rami is South Asian, and then we had another girl, I did not know how to say her name, Victoire. She was Haitian or Black. Letty was, I don't know where she was from. She's European, she was white. So it was quite diverse. There was also some diverse teachers. And they did go back to China a couple times. So we were in China for a while. So I did like the diversity of the book. I was not prepared for the racism. Yeah, I don't particularly like reading about race in books because I am Black every day. And I experience microaggressions all the time. And I read books as entertainment, and seeing other people in pain because of their race does not entertain me. So I tend to stay away from realistic fiction like that. That's why I read a lot of fantasy, because you don't really see that too much in fantasy. But this book really goes into it, and I'm like, oh my God. But it's not really from the perspective of a Black person, which is usually where you see it. This is from the perspective of an East Asian person and all of the derogatory terms that they are faced with and how they were treated. And so, but it's still hard to read. It's uncomfortable, but that's what Kuang wanted you to feel. She wanted you to be uncomfortable, and she did her job. And even though I don't personally like reading about that type of stuff, I thought it was effective and I thought it was done well. So I would put that in the like buckets. I like the magic of writing. So what they did is, and it wasn't easy magic. It wasn't like you could write the word explode on a bar of silver and then throw it and it would explode, whatever. No, it wasn't like a dynamite or an explosive or anything like that. You, as a linguist, you really had to know the interpretations of the word, and you could do a daisy chain where you could put two words on a bar and it would do something special to the end result. And not only did you have to be really good at linguists, like you can find someone who's incredibly intelligent and they can learn languages, and anybody can do that. But no, you had to dream in that language. So in other words, you needed to be from China, you needed to be from India, you needed to be from South Africa or Egypt, or you needed to be from that country, and you needed to have learned and been ingrained in that culture for a large part of your life in order for you to say the words and write it on the bar and for it to work. So that's why they were taking young children from their home country, raising them in England, and trying to make them a proper English person and making them hate where they're from, essentially, so that they could do these horrible things to their home country. But it wasn't working, and for some reason they couldn't figure that out. Like, you can't make someone hate their country at the same time making them feel like shit in your country. It doesn't work that way. He was close with Robin, but eventually you get a clue. And so the way the magic worked was really cool, because any old body couldn't do it. Like, they had to take people from those countries, and they had to brainwash them into thinking that they are worth something, that they care about them, and they really didn't. So I did like the magic system. I wish it was used more, but at the same time, I like that it wasn't. I like that they couldn't just write bomb in Chinese on there and then throw it, and it's like, no. Like, it took years for them to find the right combination of words for the silver to work. And so I like that it wasn't easy magic, that it had a challenge to it. So I do like Kuang's writing style. It is quite a poetic writing style, which is right up my alley. So I enjoyed her writing, and I will definitely be reading the Poppy War now. This is kind of made me really more interested in reading the Poppy War. Now that I have an audiobook, I can probably get through it a lot faster. So I did enjoy her writing. All right, I definitely recommend this book, especially if you like historical fiction. If you hate historical fiction, don't, because it's gonna be really slow. But if you love that type of stuff, if you like nonfiction, if you like world history, especially British politics and the 19th century, what was going on, they really did not mention America at all, which maybe that's just me being an American and being like, everybody cares about America and we're always in everything. Kuang was like, America, I'm not putting you in my book. So whatever was going on in America at the time, they didn't really talk about it, I was kind of shocked at that. But anyway, yeah, I do recommend it. It was a good book. It wasn't quite for me, but it would be a 5-star for a lot of people. All right, thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next review. Bye-bye.